In today's discussions about race, one prevalent misconception persists: the belief that ancient racial groups have remained static, unchanged through time. This view assumes that the descendants of Ham, Shem, and Japheth, progenitors of humanity, are identical to their ancient counterparts, as if untouched by the transformative forces of history. But this perspective overlooks a crucial truth. DNA is fluid, and humanity's story is one of constant interconnection and change. Before the Great Migrations, humanity was a unified tapestry. People shared lands, resources, and inevitably bloodlines. Intermarriage between the descendants of Ham, Shem, and Japheth was not just likely, it was inevitable. These unions created new nations, new races, and new identities. The resulting diversity challenges modern racial biases, reminding us that what we see on the surface is only a fragment of the truth. Consider this. When offspring from Japheth's lineage married into Ham's or Shem's families, their children might have inherited traits that leaned more heavily toward one parent's lineage. Over generations, this blending of DNA would create descendants of Japheth who resembled the offspring of Ham or Shem, or vice versa. This dynamic continued as migrations dispersed families across continents, forming new identities shaped by environment, culture, and intermarriage. By the time these groups settled in different regions, what emerged were diverse tribes and nations, yet all tied to the same patrilineal roots. For example, a nation claiming descent from Ham could be made up of various shades, appearances, and physical traits, all due to the interwoven history with Shem and Japheth's descendants. But even as diversity blossomed, a deeper truth remained. Every nation, regardless of its outward characteristics, carried the same fundamental intelligence, creativity, and capacity for innovation. Ancient civilizations were built not by a singular race, but by humanity's shared ingenuity, though one race might have been more dominant than others. Maritime navigation is a striking example. Far-flung islands and remote continents were discovered and settled by nearly all major tribes and nations, demonstrating that the mastery of the seas was not exclusive to one group. Instead, it was a universal testament to human intelligence and resilience. When we examine ancient civilizations like Egypt, questions often arise. If Bantu people were the ancient Egyptians, what about those who identify as Egyptians today but do not resemble Bantu? The answer lies in the fluidity of history and the invasions that shaped civilizations. As Egypt was conquered by various groups, its population evolved, incorporating new identities and influences. While modern Egyptians may differ in appearance from ancient Egyptians, both share connections to this land's long and storied past. This interplay of migration and intermarriage shaped not only Egypt, but every corner of the ancient world. While differences in appearance emerged, these changes were superficial. Beneath the surface, the shared DNA and heritage of humanity remind us of our common origins. In today's society, it's easy to overlook these lessons. Modern nations often pride themselves on sophistication and civilization, yet we fail to appreciate the foundational skills and values that ancient societies mastered. Instead of uniting, we divide ourselves, forgetting the shared humanity that binds us. So, when we think about the descendants of Ham, Shem, and Japheth, let us remember that race, as we understand it today, is a complex and evolving narrative. Rather than divide us, this shared heritage should remind us of our interconnectedness. It's a call to embrace our shared humanity and to recognize the beauty of our diverse, yet united ancestry.